Welcome to TechBeat. This is your humble technical person here on BCOP News Radio 990 and BRCK 550. Um, Today's show is brought to you by TechieCrest. Please visit TechieCrest.clickfor.net. We are no longer running our special BCOP sale because we are closing down our Etsy store due to unfortunate things with the whole taxation. They want to have my social security number. Is apparently taxable. I don't think that's a really good thing, but that's just me. So please check out I will be moving to another platform sooner or later. Today is Christmas here on TechBeat here. So if you have any questions regarding technology, I will be off on New Year's as well. We'll be on our new schedule on New Year's. If you have any technical questions for these holidays, just you're gonna have to like wait till after the New Year, unless they want me to be on the microphone on New Year's. You never know, I might be on. It might be a live event. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But we'll be off indefinitely for Christmas for BCOP because they will be running Christmas music. So with that, we are decked the halls here, and we're decking the halls here in the home studio here. So I hope you enjoy this. All right, so without further ado, it's less than 2 weeks to the end of this calendar year, and oh my God, has this year been a string of technology. This is one of the stories I want to reflect, and we're not going to do this weekend. There isn't a lot of technology news this week to report on of significant nature other than the Amazon outage last week and other things. The markets did take a dump yesterday, to put it mildly. Um, the Elizabeth Holmes criminal trial has now gone into deliberation. It was right as predicted. It was going to take California. Um, California is kind of a strange thing with prolonging trials. Apple's return to their corporate offices are now being delayed due to possibly the latest coronavirus. Um, Adobe plunges 10% and has the second worst day in the last decade on weak guidance, which will be alarming if all this cloud stuff really comes to bite them in their butts, which might do that. Reddit apparently is going to file to go public. That means so goodbye to the Reddit as you probably will know it. And Also, the White House wants universal broadband by 2030. We'll see how that goes. Um, Adobe's plunge was the third time this month that it had plunged, putting the stock on pace for its steepest monthly decline since March of 2010. The stock had plummeted 10% on Thursday. They had posted a guidance for its fiscal first quarter, apparently missed the analyst expectations. CNBC reported that the stock suffered its second worst drop in the past decade, surpassed by only a 15% slide in mid-March of last year when the coronavirus pandemic rattled the markets. Adobe's three worst days have come in December, pushing the stock down 16% for the month and putting it on pace for its steepest monthly decline since June of 2010. Adobe said that its fiscal first quarter, which goes into February, will be $4.23 billion, trailing analysts for revenue at $4.34 billion, according to Refinitiv, I think. However, inflation and concerns about interest rates have drawn investors to put 2021 behind them and focus more on the coming year. Alright, so that's the latest on Adobe. But again, when you're building your entire business on subscriptions and when you're subscribing to your software package, yeah, it's going to take a hit. Reddit is finally go public. CNBC reported on Wednesday that they had confidentially submitted a draft registration statement with the SEC, the social media company as they call it, announced the filing but didn't make the filing publicly available. Ooh, that's not good. Most importantly, the company announced that it had raised over $700 million in August 2021 of a valuation of $10 billion. I don't know about that one. We'll just see. Condé Nast Publications acquired Reddit in 2006. Reddit was created in 2005 but had a unique road going public. Social media services remained part of the publication company until it made an independent subsidiary in 2021. Since then, it had received funding rounds from VC firms. And it looks like that guy that was in the Reddit talking about why the stock is still worth a buy. That's interesting. All right, we're gonna take a break. It's 14 minutes after the hour. We'll come back in about 19 minutes after to look at one of the biggest technology-ridden scandals we had to cover and report here on TechBeat. I gotta deal with the encoding here. Okay, well, let's change this lower than the recommended bit rate. Well, I don't know what's going on here. All right. My mic is still hot. Okay, that's fine. We're doing traffic and weather. Okay, good. Get some pictures of nice snow in the background. Some nice snow. I'll probably take a break at 3 o'clock. Take some pictures with my camera. Okay, where is my... Alright, here we go. 2:15? It's 2:15, good. Alright, let's open up that traffic weather only. Alright. BCOP News Time, 2:15. It's time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes on the quarter hours. Caitlin Ticato's at the BCOP Traffic Center. Good afternoon. We have a problem right now. The roads are right now. We're on a road emergency throughout the capital region, so please use the roads if only necessary. We got problems on 291. A vehicle, disabled truck is on the outbound lane right now. Use on the left lane. The left lane is closed. Use the right lane and give the people space to get that truck out. Other problems right now. We do have a disabled vehicle on the 291 westbound outside of downtown. It's on the lower deck. Use again, the helper vehicle should be on its way. Our next traffic at 231, or excuse me, 232 on BCOP News Radio 990. And the forecast for the BCOP Weather Center is actually, we went from 50s yesterday to 30s and 20s today. It will be seasonable, or probably technically seasonally below seasonal normal snow today in the capital region. It looks very picturesque the Saturday before Christmas. Tomorrow, more snow. We're probably going to get about a foot and a half of snow throughout the capital region, so just be aware of that. Repeating current temperature, right now it is 28 going up to 32 in downtown Copenhagen. BCOP will have our next weather update in less than 15 minutes away on BCOP 990. We'll be back on TechBeat in just 2 minutes. Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickfor.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickfor.net. Don't get caught in the jam. Listen to BCOP News Radio 990's Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s, every weekday mornings and afternoons from Chopper 990 and the BCOP Traffic Center. Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s on your morning and afternoon drives on BCOP 990. For continuing coverage of the coronavirus, tune to your trusted source for news, News Radio 990, BCOP. If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are among the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231 272 9949. 231 272 9949. This is a programming note from BCOP 990. The following program does not reflect the management or staff of this station. The editorial opinions and conjectures do not reflect BCOP's editorial standards. Therefore, the news division cannot be held liable for anything that is said on this program. Likewise, the opinions and advice should not be the primary opinion, and BCOP News Radio or the program cannot be held liable for any mistake heard by the listeners of this program. Thank you. And now, from BCOP 990 Copenhagen, TechBeat, your weekly outlook on an objective view of the technology business and technical questions from you. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford from Clickford Media Services. Welcome back to TechBeat on this nice snowy day with some of us who like winter in the capital region. It is December 18th, 2021. It is a week before Christmas. Wish you luck if you haven't gotten your Christmas shopping done yet. I've gotten most of it. Part of it's kind of a small shell of life, so no, I'm not a shallow person. Don't get me wrong here. TechBeat is brought to you by from Tech Heroes. If you visit techheroes.clickford.net, and our Etsy store will be shutting down at the end of the year thanks to our changes in our tax code. Go figure. I'm not giving them my socials. I don't trust companies taking my, giving my information to the government. This is not too much. Not trying to get too much into the politics here. So let's review the last year, the year that was security breaches, and outages in the cloud. Yes, the cloud. SolarWinds was one of the biggest examples of this, and this is really a scary situation that I'm surprised no one's talking about going forward here. But unfortunately, it's like, how do you trust people? How can you trust businesses doing the right thing? There's no good morality anymore. And Reuters reported it a year ago that SolarWinds is a major IT firm. Was the subject to, this is from the Business Insider, that spread to its clients and went undetected for months. Foreign hackers, who some top U.S. officials were believed from Russia, were able to use the hack to spy on private companies and the elite cybersecurity firm FireEye and the upper echelons of the U.S. government, including Homeland Security and the Department of Treasury. It was reported in April that the U.S. government was ready to impose sanctions on a dozen Russian intelligence officials over their alleged role in interfering in the 2020 presidential election, as well as the SolarWinds hack. This was, again, Business Insider from April. So basically, these hackers were, the program is called Orion, and this is basically, mostly network management systems are hooked up on, typically on private networks. They're not supposed to be exposed to public networks. But if, let's say, you have a management computer that is someone exposed to the internet or the common network. If you get to that machine, then you get into basically you're getting into the keys of the kingdom if you get the right credentials. And this is exactly what was happening. Now, some technical people would say that this isn't as simple as SolarWinds 123, thinking there's like a default password in there. There actually was something that was defaulted where SolarWinds did not properly patch it. So this is in the sense of Microsoft's registration. So in order to install an application that is legit, the best practice is that you register your company with Microsoft. You pay an X amount of dues to Microsoft to have um, the right to be able to use that code. And basically, it's just authenticating it's legit code. Now, Microsoft had some insight to this that they said more than 80% of the victims were non government organizations. So we're talking about nonprofits, um, a lot of different agencies that are using it to um, monitor their computer networks. What you do is you install the SolarWinds code, and then you basically it's exposed to the internet. Then you have your management computer that's also exposed to the internet, kind of sorta, and between it's basically a conduit between the very critical systems and then your non-critical systems. And yes, your laptop and your iPhone is considered non-critical if you are managing things like the grid and stuff like that. Um, so somebody got code of that key that legitimizes SolarWinds to be installed on Microsoft workstations and servers, and that's where the SolarWinds 123 could, you know, that default, because somebody had the key and only certain people should have that key. It's like 120 bits of code um, that that only the Microsoft people have and the developer has to legitimize the software. And so what happened was the the hackers impersonated the software package to be a SolarWinds so they as a quote unquote bad actor was able to get into this. And this is a big problem. And sadly, I'm surprised there has not been a lot of follow-ups on it, other than that there is probably some Russian involvement, which excuse me. Um, why it matters, says Business Insider. Well, part of it is that it's expensive to um, um, it's expensive and very difficult to secure systems. Tom Bossert, President Trump's former Homeland Security officer, said it could be years before the networks could be secure again. With access to government networks, hackers could destroy, alter idea, and impersonate legitimate people, he wrote to the New York Times. Not only is this breach one of the largest in recent memory, but it also comes as a wake-up call for federal security efforts. The U.S. Cyber Command, which receives billions of dollars in funding and is tasked to protecting American networks, was blindsided by the attack, the New York Times reported. Instead, a private security firm called FireEye and was the first to notice when it was noticed that their own systems were hacked. FireEye CEO Kevin Mandelia testified in February of this year to the U.S. Senate, summoned SolarWinds as well as Microsoft, CrowdStrike to a series of hearings over the sweeping breach. The hack could accelerate broad changes in the cybersecurity industry. Companies are already turning to a new method, assuming that there are already breaches rather than merely reacting to attacks after they are found, Business Insider previously reported. And the U.S. government may reorganize its cyber efforts by making the Cyber Command independent from the NSA, the AP reported. The attack may also lead to a strengthened relationship between the U.S. government and the cybersecurity industry, with the private sector helping officials fight off nation-state attacks and foreign bad actors in the future, as the Business Insider previously reported. So we'll have more on this. We'll continue to talk more about the attack and this year that was, and all that. next here on TechBeat. It's 20 minutes, approaching 20 minutes after the hour. Thank you for listening. And just a programming note, we will be on our new schedule beginning on New Year's. Right now, it will be a taped edition, a best of, on January 1st. That's Saturday, from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. So that's in the evenings. We're moving several hours later to accommodate a better audience, as well as we will be we will be off next week. So be back in a moment. This is TechBeat. Did I have that cut with the interview? No, but I can play off from my board. Okay, good to know. 2:30. I'm reading the news. I'm doing the news. Around the capital region, around the world, around the clock, your local news, traffic, and weather authority, BCOP News Radio 990. Good afternoon, I'm Stephen Clickford. Here is the latest news from BCOP 990. Medibrook State is reporting one of the worst numbers of job openings and job vacancies. This is alarming most of the service industry. We'll have more of that in just a few moments. Locals are outraged with Copenhagen City Council approving a tax spike for the February town meeting. New York City's leaders are reporting 5,000 new COVID cases as concerns of the Omicron variant is rising. We'll have more of this in just a few moments. In sports, um, we we don't have my sports figures right now. We'll have that in a few moments. Right now, it's currently snowing in downtown Copenhagen. Temperatures are near seasonal after a mild stretch today. Today we'll have snow about a foot when it's all said and done tomorrow. Repeating the current temperature, it is 29 going up to 32 in downtown Copenhagen. MNN covers the world next. Back in Copenhagen, the locals are outraged at the proposed tax spike that will be proposed for the Copenhagen city meeting. Paul Martina has the story. The Copenhagen City Council has approved a potential spike of taxes for the February 22 town meeting. the Alberta tax spike currently for any city property owner up to $2,000 potentially for any property assessed over $100,000. On Thursday night, the outrage was fueled by the town's Tea Party. You guys are a bunch of tax-spending liberals, and you guys just continue to help make our city worse. More money in government is the worst thing that can happen to our people here in Seatown. Other residents showed anger over the frustration. That was Paula Martino reporting BCOP News Time 2:33. It's time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes on the quarter hour. Tina Delgado is live in the BCOP traffic center. From the BCOP Weather Center, it's actually from unseasonably mild to seasonably cool today. We've been going all over the place. The temperature will be approaching 32 with snow today. Similarly, tomorrow we'll get about a foot of snow, and our chances of a white Christmas is getting much higher, despite we having a very wild pattern. Our next news update is at the top of the hour and breaking news when it warrants. This is Stephen Clifford in the BCOP 990 News Center. Don't get caught in the jam. Listen to BCOP News Radio 990's Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s. Every weekday mornings and afternoons from Chopper 990 and the BCOP Traffic Center. Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s.
This is a programming note from BCOP 990. The following program does not reflect the management or staff of this station. The editorial opinions and conjectures do not reflect BCOP's editorial standards. Therefore, the news division cannot be held liable for anything that is said on this program. Likewise, the opinions and advice should not be the primary opinion, and BCOP News Radio or the program cannot be held liable for any mistake heard by the listeners of this program. Thank you. And now, from BCOP 990 Copenhagen, TechBeat, your weekly outlook on an objective view of the technology business and technical questions from you. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford from Clickford Media Services.
And welcome back to BCOP 990 and BRSK 550 of this TechBeat. This is your news program for technology news, and unfortunately, we're kind of like the old. I was thinking about this today, or actually the other day, where CNET. Remember the old CNET Central that used to run on cable, back when, way before CNET was changing so many hands back in the day. And CNET was a pretty much straightforward technology program. They were covering the technology. They weren't pundits. They weren't in the cahoots with the Silicon Valley people. You would definitely not see an Emily Chang figure who is nothing but a very casual. It's really weird that a reporter is on par with the CEO of a big company. It just makes absolutely no sense. But we are the fan of technology. We give everybody a voice, and we try to look at things from multiple points of view here on TechBeat, as well as giving you an honest, objectional view of your technology questions. We'll be taking questions after this break, so we will be doing that momentarily. But continuing to the year that was technology-wise, a lot of things have happened. Apple had finally announced the Mac that everyone was apparently waiting for, but not yours truly. Let me just take you to my display here and show this to you. This was the new MacBook Pro. This was released around October, if I'm not mistaken. It gave the ports, people like those MagSafe. I don't blame them with the MagSafe. SD card slots, which some people, did add stuff like the little notch. If you're watching the stream right now, they put a notch on the middle of a MacBook to try to make it look like an Apple, iPhone Pro Max or whatever. I'm not trying to say I'm against Apple, but I'm not against Google either. But just that, Apple's products are supposed to be built rock solid, and that's part of this alleged new chip, the M1 chip. I noticed on the iMacs the Apple logo is missing. I mean, can anyone explain to me why Apple took the logo on the Mac, the Mac, iMac? I mean, are we gonna, is there gonna be an Apple explain dude that's gonna stand up for that? I I don't get it. At least the one I saw on demo was weird, or what, it was just weird. Yeah, the iMac, this was the other new introduction, and the six colors, um, does it look like the old Apple logo to you with the six colors? So people were some weirdos like the Hackintosh community that really likes the Mac OS software but hates the hardware. Consider this to be Barbie colors, and I think find that to not only be sexist but completely not understanding the whole throwback thing. Craig Federighi, he has not been demoted from Apple despite making Apple crap, you know, not making Apple's products very reliable on the mobile devices. But a lot of these things that they're talking about maximum storage at 8 terabytes. Well, that's only 8 terabytes. That's low if you ask me. You can get up to 16 gigabytes of whatever unified memory is. They still give you 720p HD cameras on the entry level and the midline, which I find just interesting that Apple's still doing it. Touch ID is still there. I love Touch ID. I think Apple really aced that. Just because you invented the first thing doesn't mean that you're the best. Just saying that. So that's kind of what Apple did. But with this ARM chip, so what this is Apple's chipset is basically its chipset is running on what they call reduced instructional set computing chips, which means that when you get to 2 plus 2 equals, or let's get to 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6, the RISC chips will do 2 times, what was it, 2 times 3 equals 6. It does calculations more efficiently. So when you're doing high fidelity video, 4K, whatever, you have the computer you have the horsepower to do that, along with the software optimization and things of that nature. But Microsoft is still on the Intel platform, and this will be really interesting because I kind of don't like using Windows right now. I'm not a big fan of Windows 10. I am using Windows 7. Shh, don't tell anybody. Um, I'd like to see appliances again, computers that are designed for specific applications. And this is kind of where the Mac was when it began, and this is where it is now. I'm kind of on the camp of, why do I need to have a PC to do stuff when I could run like a nice, fully loaded application on a specific device that could be just used for, just video editing, graphics creation, or anything of that nature as well. And I think if it's done properly, I think it would be great for sure. So that's my perspective on Mac. The 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 operating system I'm still very skeptical on. So that's what Apple is introduced this year in the tech that the tech that was for this year. What else do we have going on this year? Not really. There was some networking equipment. I know HPE was introducing a very fancy firewall and stuff like that as well. So there's some stuff in there. Looking forward to the future, I think there's a lot of concerns that I would question down the road. My concern is cybersecurity, but it's not just patching, but making things, advocating for use of better firewalls, advocating better use of better networking equipment. It's hard to get people to buy into that, so I think it's something that I, as a role of this host, should let you know. down the road how to make a good network, what should be on the network, what shouldn't be on the network, what should be on a different VLAN, and what should not be. And those things are not easy to do in a format like this program. So that's kind of my thing. Um, at the next, I'm gonna take an early break. Where when we come back after, we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room that is Facebook, and then we're gonna take your calls after the break here on BCOP IP and BRCK 550. So we'll be back in about a few moments. This is TechBeat. Don't get caught in the jam. Listen to BCOP News Radio 990's Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s, every weekday mornings and afternoons from Chopper 990 and the BCOP Traffic Center. Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s on your morning and afternoon drives on BCOP 990. My apologies to the people. Yeah, I threw you a wrench. 240, 250, that's okay. Because I'm going to be playing Francis Haugen from Facebook, and that's like a bunch of cuts. And I didn't want to, yeah, no problem.
Someone else might have.
BCOP News Time 2:44. It's time for traffic and everything on the quarter hours. Let's go like the traffic. What do you have? From the BCOP Weather Center, it will be seasonably cool out there. We've not been saying that for a while. Temperatures will be approaching 32 degrees for the high today, going down to 19 today. We might get up to a foot of snow in the capital region. Just be aware that roads are kind of getting a little bit clouded at this point, so just please use caution right now. More weather in just 15 minutes away. This is Tech will return in about a few minutes here on BCOP.
This is a programming note from BCOP 990. The following program does not reflect the management or staff of this station. The editorial opinions and conjectures do not reflect BCOP's editorial standards. Therefore, the news division cannot be held liable for anything that is said on this program. Likewise, the opinions and advice should not be the primary opinion, and BCOP News Radio or the program cannot be held liable for any mistake heard by the listeners of this program. Thank you. And now, from BCOP 990 Copenhagen, TechBeat, your weekly outlook on an objective view of the technology business and technical questions from you. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford, from Clickford Media Services.
Lindsay, who's listening to our stream from San Diego County, California, wants to opine with the year that was when it came to social media. Lindsay, what's your question? Your statement. Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing fine, Lindsay.
I miss you on the Zoom, you know?
I'm not going to make any comments about my other work.
Oh, 2021 is such a bad year because, social media is so regulated now that I can't express how I really feel. Like, I think COVID is such a big scam, and I want to express how I feel for my beliefs that COVID isn't real, and I don't like how Facebook censors my posts from people I trust,
But sometimes some of that information isn't coming from people who know how to censor information, or censor information is completely out of line.
The January 6th insurrection is all overrated, It was the Antifa people that came and ruined everything.
I don't think so, Lindsay. I think that's been proven unfactual.
That's all I have to say. You are such a fake news artist. I'm so sorry that you have to go through what you have to go through,
Thank you for the love, Lindsay.
Bye.
Oh, Lindsay from California. Let's go to Joey from North Carolina. He's also streaming us. I think he's calling from the Interstate 87. It's not to be confused with the New York State Interstate 87. But what say you, Joey?
Although there's a little man-child, you're just as shallow as Brian Stelter, He's just such a jerk.
Okay, what's your remarks?
You reporting on the insurrection, stuff like that, that's all fake news. This is a whole inside job. And you people that just like to make fake news, you just make up news. You are such a scam artist. You're such a lowlife. And we men like to listen to talk shows where our beliefs are validated, unlike you, because you guys like to project fake news. And if you think we're raw and real, at least we're real. At least we tell you like it is, instead of you just trying to sensationalize and simplify America, you little soy boy. I won't use other words because I don't think your producer's gonna say you're such a faggot.
You just said it, Joey. You just couldn't help yourself.
Oh, you are, and you know it. You're such a soy boy. Bye.
Yeah, that's Joey from calling from Interstate 87 in North Carolina, and we just let him speak even if we don't agree with it. But let's play Frances Haugen, the Facebook whistleblower.
The thing I saw at Facebook over and over again was there were conflicts of interest between what was good for the public and what was good for Facebook. And Facebook over and over again chose to optimize for its own interests, like making more money.
Frances Haugen is 37, a data scientist from Iowa, with a degree in computer engineering and a Harvard master's degree in business. For 15 years, she's worked for companies including Google and Pinterest.
I've seen a bunch of social networks, and it was substantially worse at Facebook than anything I'd seen before.
It's almost like going to a locker room in high school, isn't it, Frances?
When we live in an information environment that is full of angry, hateful, polarizing content, it erodes our civic trust, it erodes our faith in each other, it erodes our ability to want to care for each other, the version of Facebook that exists today is tearing our societies apart and causing ethnic violence.
Right, she's referring to the Myanmar incident of 8 years ago.
You know, someone else might have just quit and moved on. And I wonder why you take this stand.
Imagine you know what's going on inside of Facebook and you know no one on the outside knows. I knew what my future looked like if I continued to stay inside of Facebook, which is person after person after person has tackled this inside of Facebook and ground themselves to the ground.
When and how did it occur to you to take all of these documents out of the company? And about 0.6% of violence and incitement on Facebook, despite being the best in the world at it. To quote from another one of the documents you brought out, "We have evidence from a variety of sources that hate speech, divisive political speech, and misinformation on Facebook and the family of apps are affecting societies around the world."
Around the world.
Ethnic violence, including Myanmar in 2018, when the military used Facebook to launch a genocide.
The first quarter of 2019.
Frances Haugen told us she was recruited by Facebook in 2019. She says she agreed to take the job only if she could work against misinformation, because she had lost a friend to online conspiracy theories.
I never wanted anyone to feel the pain that I had felt, and I had seen how high the stakes were in terms of making sure there was high quality information on Facebook.
At headquarters, she was assigned to civic integrity, which worked on risks to elections, including misinformation. But after this past election, there was a turning point.
They told us, we're dissolving civic integrity. Like, they basically said, oh, good, we made it through the election. There wasn't riots. We can get rid of civic integrity now. Fast forward a couple months, we got the insurrection. And when they got rid of civic integrity, it was the moment where I was like,
we missed that cut. Oh, wait, that's all right. We will, we got 1 more minute left on the show here, so we'll just play the last cut.
Worse. 17% of teen girls say Instagram makes eating disorders worse.
And what's super tragic is Facebook's own research says, as these young women begin to consume this eating disorder content, they get more and more depressed, and it actually makes them use the app more. And so they end up in this feedback cycle where they hate their bodies more and more. Facebook's own research says it is not just that Instagram is dangerous for teenagers, that it harms teenagers. It's that it is distinctly worse than other forms of social media.
Facebook said just last week it would postpone plans to create an Instagram for younger children. Last month, Haugen's lawyers filed at least 8 complaints with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which enforces the law in financial markets. The complaints compare the internal research with the company's public face, often that of CEO Mark Zuckerberg, here testifying remotely to Congress.
And just basically covering up his wrongdoings. And we'll talk about corporate corruption at the 3 o'clock hour and take some of your technology calls at the top of the hour right now. So thank you for listening to this hour of TechBeat. This will be the last scheduled TechBeat for this first year. We've been on the air since August, and thank you for putting up with us throughout the time. This is Stephen Clifford, and this is your TechBeat.
If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949, 231-272-9949.
Bup, 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 bup. yours truly. Temperatures will be approaching 32 degrees today. Winter storm warning for the capital district until tomorrow. The snow will continue into tonight. About a foot of snow will be in the capital region.
In the spirit of governing news, traffic, and weather, this is BCOP, BCORFM, and BCOE AM 821 Copenhagen.
It's 3 o'clock. This is Steve Clicker. Here is the top stories from the BCO newsroom. Favorite State is reporting one of the worst numbers of job vacancies in the capital region. Locals are outraged with the city of Copenhagen for approving a tax spike for February tax. New York City seniors are reportedly facing 5,000 sports. In sports, the Miniland Monsters will be playing game time at 7 o'clock here on BCOP 99. Capitals will be playing tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. BCO M&N covers the world now at 3:01.
Hey, Steven, what's up?
Management or staff of this station. The editorial opinions and conjectures do not reflect BCOP's editorial standards. Therefore, the news division cannot be held liable for anything that is said on this program. Likewise, the opinions and advice should not be the primary opinion, and BCOP News Radio or the program cannot be held liable for any mistake heard by the listeners of this program. Thank you. And now from BCOP 990 Copenhagen, TechBeat, your weekly outlook on an objective view of the technology business and technical questions. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford from Clickford Media Services.
I wish I had Christmas bumpers right now, but I don't have access to the Christmas music to play out here on TechBeat here. This is just a standard stock one that I have to run at the intro of every program here on BCOP 990 and BRSK 550. Hello, this is your fellow techie Steven. I thought journalism and technology would go hand in hand. Excuse me. Some particles from my Reese's Pieces must in my throat here, but I'm okay here. Um, this will be the last scheduled edition of TechBeat before it moves to its new time on January 1st from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on BCOP 990 and BRCK 550. So we'll be doing the night beat on technology here, and depending on your station, you should still be able to get your local information. It's been kind of a programming conflict to run this show, and some stations drop me, some do. It depends on the day. So night on Saturday nights probably will be a better bet. I'm not sure about hockey. I mean, hockey we might have some 8 o'clock overlap on some stations, but we're gonna try as much as we can to be consistent. Night beats. Night is a good nighttime drive is always good because then your voice can be heard amongst all the many figures all over the world here. So again, and Merry Christmas to all you folks. If you do observe it and see me in this household here. Um, I hope you guys get something special for Christmas. You know, 2020 and 2021 has been a really rough year for a lot of us. Supply chain hell and all that. It's to survive this and thrive this would be the greatest miracle that I would love. There's a lot of things I would want for Christmas, both tacky things and particularly for my media production business, and I want other things in my life too. It's just it's a lonely world to be a technology journalist and to actually cover technology, to be fair, because you love technology. And I think there's a lot of things that get missed in journalism, particularly a lot of it's punditry, advocacy. You're going to find that in any type of news. It's not inherently a exclusive thing, but I like to hold CEOs accountable. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to I'm not an Andrew Ross Sorkin where I want to, go on stage and talk to somebody like as very affluent and talk to them on like a peer level. I just think that's a little bit uncomfortable in my opinion. I like to hold people accountable, including people in higher power, as well as people lower than that as well. That's my thing. Um, we have time, or did we chew that up because of okay, because I know I've screwed up the shows here. Uh, it's only I can screw up, but I want to go back to if I have that cut available on we'll play at 321. Um, and I'll do that, and we'll do that in a bit. Okay. Um, let's get to Michael. Michael's on TechBeat. He's got a question about his Drac. I think is Michael on here. Let's pull up. Hi, Michael. You're on TechBeat.
Hey, Steven, what's up?
Not much. How are you?
So I asked you about a week ago with the Dirac thingy. And then went to my company, my vendor, and he told me they need to get a new server because they can't touch it. Are they screwing with me? I mean, how real are they playing games? To me, a computer's a computer. I don't care how old it is. If it does the job, it does the job. And what do I do?
Okay, well, one of the questions, what is running on that
Dude,
server?
I think it was something like a Windows 2008 or something like that. It may be 2000 and late, if you know what I mean. But I don't really know the details.
All right, so, well, one thing...
Yeah, it's the same one with the network problem.
Okay, it was the same one. Okay, and they're telling you it's old. Well, depending on how much you paid for that...
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Play hardball next time, dude. 2022, take care of the hardball.
Oh, God. Michael's teasing me on another show that I do. He likes to knock his way through the show, pulling these fast ones on you, and you have to be on your feet here. There's a lot of factors. If you've had a server that run a high uptime, I think it's easier to just do to just get an upgrade. It's probably just worth it rather than just trying to resurrect it. Thank you for the call, Michael. So speaking about servers, do you still recommend servers, Steven? The answer is yes. I still recommend servers. You can get them secondhand. You get them on eBay, you get them on Amazon, you get whatever your preferred vendor that you don't want to pay extra. The reason why I do, because these things were marketed at under specifications. Most servers that you get like 15 years ago would have a dual core Intel with like 2 gigs of RAM, and they would basically run a standard like 32-bit version of like a Windows or a Linux instance, which I thought was hilarious as well. And these things were totally like, you can spec them to go to 16, 32, or even 64 gigs. And you can run like VMware or Promo or whatever the hell that name's called, and you can get a pretty good server from 15 years is pretty not bad. I mean, it's ones that have good power management is the better option. So again, if it doesn't have the Intel power management, it's probably not worth it energy wise, and you won't get your energy efficiency. Again, you want to run a 64-bit system so you can run a bunch of little computers underneath it. That's kind of my thing, and yeah, that's my recommendation. All right, we're gonna take a break next. This is TechBeat, and we'll talk about the Great Resignation of IT. That's coming up next here on TechBeat. Don't get caught in the jam. Listen to BCOP News Radio 990's Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s, every weekday mornings and afternoons from Chopper 990 and the BCOP Traffic Center. Drive Time, Traffic, and Weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s on your morning and afternoon drives on BCOP 990. Alright, we'll just take a break. Right. Yep. Kaylin will. Yeah. Because I need to get the cut ready. Hold on. $3.19. Okay, 10-4. Yeah, I like to take a break at 3:30 because I want to check out the snow. I want to get some pictures of the snow here. It's really nice. Looks very picturesque. I want to get it before the sunset. I just halfway. I'm gonna bump out a Christmas song. Okay, cool. 10-4. I want to see if I can play the song here. Let's play Christmas. Can I open that with? Let's see if we can open it with Destiny. All right, I'm playing it out. Right, ready? 3:30, 3:19:30. Okay. It takes like a minute to intro the show. Here, God.
This is a programming note from BCOP 990. The following program does not reflect the management or staff of this station. The editorial opinions and conjectures do not reflect BCOP's editorial standards. Therefore, the news division cannot be held liable for anything that is said on this program. Likewise, the opinions and advice should not be the primary opinion, and BCOP News Radio or the program cannot be held liable for any mistake heard by the listeners of this program. Thank you. And now, from BCOP 990 Copenhagen, TechBeat, your weekly outlook on an objective view of the technology business and technical questions from you. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford, from Clickford Media Services.
All right, welcome back. I just got a disclaimer on the show. You guys know I'm not a technical professional. I'm a journalist, and I ask your technical questions. And geez, I just wanted to play some. This great song. We're Siberian Orchestra. We're gonna play various Christmas songs throughout the rest of this show, just because it's that time of year where unwinding. It's family. I'm kind of a family guy, even though I have my views on it. All right, 2021, I almost, geez, 2019 was the last good year. That's the last known state of a good year. Sorry, it was a Freudian slip. In 2019, we also saw the 2021. I'm sorry. Hey, it's the end of the year and I'm getting a little lip here. Great resignation in IT in the Greater Capital Region and in the Metro Mainland. We interviewed back on November 13th, so it was just over a month ago. We got some expert advice of why people in the minifigures in the IT industry checking out. Let's do that as our highlight reel. Let's see if I can get that up here. Oh, yeah. Let's try this again. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Good Saturday afternoon. How are you?
All right. Can you tell me what you wrote in your piece?
Well,
Can you explain what you wrote about the Great Resignation in IT professionals?
In our piece, we did a story on the Great Resignation in information technology. Our report basically looked at various. We did a study with 50 CIOs in the area. Some are in some of the big companies, and we asked them a series of questions of what was the Great Resignation in IT.
So can you explain what the reasons? There was multiple reasons. You did multiple researches with CIOs. What did they tell you?
Well, so one of the things that we were looking at was a lot of it was regulatory in nature. There's a lot of change in laws in terms of technology, and many of the rank and file IT people are just not interested in, or not interested thereof, getting into the field or just leaving entirely. And there's a lot of fusing of lawyers and technical people, and while you may think they may have a lot in common, they really do not.
In terms of the technical nature of the legal, so there's a lot of jobs that were lost. Apparently, one of the things that you guys did in your reporting was the entry level positions, which is known for a huge turnover, has the biggest need right now.
We see a lot of turnover in help desk situations. Those people that are on the front lines are basically your in-house geniuses. According to our research, or at least when we talked with our people, one of the common themes was that they the burnout was particularly in help desk because it was the quote unquote dirty job, and as a result, those people just don't want to be doing that.
Is this just the ethos that people just have to be the chosen people to learn? If they are doing code, they got to be doing code. They don't want to deal with those so-called end users. Am I far-fetched from that logic?
It's just their ethos and their mindset. They just really believe they got to get into coding or whatever, programming or stuff of those nature, and they just cannot. They do not want to deal with people. Maybe it's because they like machines more than they like people, as they say. But that is the one with the least, the biggest job that the IT professionals want is a help desk.
Yeah, the help desk positions. So what are the other things? One of the things that the IT industry has been changing significantly over the last.
Yeah, so DevOps is what I've been told by people in the industry. It's a combination of people writing code and writing particular software, as well as it's a huge focus on automation, automating processes, and so when you get a new computer, you just plug it on the network, and if you have everything coded properly, it basically installs everything. So there's a lot of stuff is being automated, and a lot of the problems in technology is that they do not want their jobs are not needed.
The jobs are not needed. So is that part of just the people not adapting to the different changes?
Well, and that's another thing too. We have people that are getting to a certain age where they are getting older. They are not. They're not as. They're not as open, or I shouldn't say open, but they are. They are changing. The business models are changing, and the people that got into this industry 25 or so years ago are it's a different world, and that's it's kind of ironic because they came in a changing the tech models were much different back in the early 90s. So now you're seeing those people age out into the workforce, but again you're seeing a completely uh, really unfortunate change in the way that the business models are, because part of the idea of IT is to basically automate and lower costs for the corporation.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because if you have a generation of people that have learned a certain way, it's hard to reteach them, especially IT was a lot different back when the big iron was
Well,
there.
IT in general is, I think, is not going to be the same as it was back in the day, so to speak. So I think there's a major change in the way businesses are going to, at least technical people are going to have to be more. One of our research notes is a lot of people were certified in one skill set, and for some people, you
Right.
have to be a generalist, and unfortunately, I don't know if it's the person's mind or the industry in general, but one of the things that I've been told was that IT has been basically a very specialist driven field. So now when you get into people that can do multiple things, that's like, oh my God, this is wrong, because this is not how we were taught. This was the right way to do. And there's a lot of right and wrong stuff when we talk to different people, which we asked when they left their business or left.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for.
there's a lot here. The Great Resignation in IT is, at least here in this area, is a big deal.
Well, that is interesting. Thank you very much,
Right,
Trevor
thank you.
Gustafson. It's 2:28. We'll be back. We'll read some more news and take your. It's for the 3:28. That was from November 13th, 2021. Talk about the Great Recession here. We're going to take a break right now on December 18th, 2021, and we'll be back to take some of your questions, and our technical advice will be on two more blocks after that, and then we'll be off for the rest of the year and wish you a Merry Christmas. We'll be back in a moment. This is TechBeat. Forecast from the BCOP Weather Center. It'll be snowing for the rest of today. We'll be getting about a foot to a foot and a half of snow tonight. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy. Temperatures in the mid 30s. Downtown Copenhagen, lower 30s elsewhere. Sunset tonight is 4:13. Tomorrow sunrise is just before 7. Just before 7:10 tomorrow morning. If I could read my copy straight. This is BCOP News Radio 990. John Cricino's in the BCOP newsroom for the latest on your local news. Around the capital region, around the world, around the clock, your local news, traffic, and weather authority, BCOP News Radio 990.
This is a programming note from BCOP 990. The following program does not reflect the management or staff of this station. The editorial opinions and conjectures do not reflect BCOP's editorial standards. Therefore, the news division cannot be held liable for anything that is said on this program. Likewise, the opinions and advice should not be the primary opinion, and BCOP News Radio or the program cannot be held liable for any mistake heard the listeners of this program. Thank you. And now, from BCOP 990 Copenhagen, TechBeat, your
We're gonna
weekly
just try
outlook
to see if I
on
can
an
put another
in-depth
Christmas
review of the
bumper on here
technology
or not.
advances and technical questions from
I
you.
missed it 'cause
And
I
now
was
here's
shoveling
your
snow
host,
here.
Stephen Clickford, from Clickford Media Services.
Okay, welcome back to TechBeat here. I had to enjoy. I'm such an New England brat. I mean, I can't take my butt out in this region here and not say that this is like my home, and it's just great to see the week before Christmas, literally the week before Christmas, having some snow. We were warm yesterday. Cause like, good goodness, like when are we gonna get that pullback? Looks like the pullback is here for now. So, all right, welcome back. Here we are, continuing this tech beat here. Just wrapping up the first few months of covering technology, thinking, oh, this would be a good new program to sell to BCOP News Radio. and So we still have some calls. We're still taking your calls to BCOP News Radio if you have any questions and or advice regarding tech and other things of that nature. We get a lot of questions here because the average audience here is mostly small business owners. So the big question they're talking about here is they got a new phone system because the vendor said you'd save a few bucks. Whenever you hear that coming from a salesperson, I would say please take it with a lot of grain of salt here, because a lot of times the vendors of the companies will tend to play games with you. They'll say that I lost my glove. I have to go find it after my show here. That basically they'll tell you you'll save money, but typically that's a big lie, and that's one of the biggest things that they do. Another thing that they'll tell you is that they'll give you hosted voice over IP, which is another big scam in the system. Why? Well, I would say that it's not well protected because these things are exposed to the internet, and a lot of the underlying protocol, the session initiation protocol, as it's called, is like the web. It's very dicey, and a lot of deployments with these cloud phone systems should have your firewalls, your modern firewalls should have a SIP gateway attached to it. And if you don't have a SIP gateway attached to it, then you're kind of screwed without one. So I recommend that you use your SIP proxy on your firewall. So it is when you put the VoIP phone on, you put your phone number, and like I wouldn't use a very strong password from the device to the SIP proxy, because at that point the SIP proxy should have a stronger password. Just because if your users bop around, you know, it's nothing's more than a peanut butter than almost like texting. Now again, that's a security that you should check with your security consultant to see, depending if you are a target. And a lot of times these breaches and hacks and disruptions are because risk profiles are not in sync to the interests of the business. So that's one of the common questions we get. Another question I've been getting, I had gotten in the early editions of TechBeat, was how to deploy Macs. If you wanted to have a consistent Macintosh experience with everything going to M1, and it's harder to deploy stuff from scratch. There used to be this thing called disk imaging, for example. One of the things that I would recommend was to do a time machine restore. It does sound alike, doesn't it, when you think about it? A time machine restore is the ability to just back up your Mac, and then when you go to start up your new Mac, you can, if you're less than like 50 users, I wouldn't recommend Apple's new small business offerings, and that also was a fall announcement. But if you're in in-house operation, you want to take care of your Macs, and you still want to do it, that'd be my recommendation. Um, Questions that I didn't get often, but probably wanted more clarification. Well, one of the things I would recommend people to do going, particularly with virtualization, I recommend people to take instead of having multiple servers doing one thing, unless you need to, like it's a firewall. I wouldn't virtualize a firewall per se, but I would certainly um, uh, um, virtualize everything else. And you could take a moderate workstation. A Mac Mini can even work. There are downsides to that. You have only have one network by default because it's got one port. But you could get like a Mac port. It depends on what you need. It depends on how critical the local machine is. So just assess what you need. Um, Another question I got was with back to in the telephony, because we get a lot of phone questions because a lot of people use the phones, which is really good. Which systems I would recommend in order of vendors? Well, I would recommend Cisco. Mitel would be my second one, and then like the Asterisks family would be the third one. Or if you're cost conscious, it would be Asterisk, Cisco, and Mitel. I would not recommend Avaya at this point. Avaya is kind of in the past, and people need to radically accept that. Just it is what it is. Um, in terms of that, Cisco has gotten their act together when it comes to just the telephony aspect, which, in my opinion, is better than what they were before. They've come a long way for them to kind of outdo Avaya, which had once upon a time a 90% um, install base of the Fortune 500. Yes, that was, just like consumer tech, you could be hot one day and then cold the other. So those are my quick picks for enterprise telephony or small enterprises as well. Cisco's come a long way. If you have to do Asterisk, do it. I recommend Isabel distro myself. That's just my preference. My recommendation. It kind of beats Exchange in a lot of ways. If you want to do on-prem email, which I know is not the recommended practice, it's one of the things I would recommend. And that's those things that I would get frequent questions. All right, coming up after the break, we are doing one more um, um, we're going to look in the future. And the future is not as pretty as you want to believe. So we're going to take a quick break on that. Thank you for watching and listening to me for this year. I know we're not getting a lot of calls today, so again, just an FYI programming change. We'll be off on Christmas. We'll be on New Year's on tape, starting from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and then on Saturday evenings, and then beginning after that, our first live show will be after the New Year. So just an FYI, keep that simple. Frances Haugen, I meant to realize there's some cuts I want to play out. So we'll do the big closeout in a bit here. So thank you for watching.